the question that she would always get is like, what are you? And for her, the way she explained it is she said it felt dehumanizing. Like it made her more of an object versus a person, because she would get it constantly. Like she was very attractive and she definitely got like a lot of attention. And I would say even prior to her mentioning that, I was of that mindset to be like, oh wow, like what is she? She's gorgeous. She's different. If she was a Pokemon, she would be like a legendary, like one of those rare.
We all got an opinion, but can you back yours up? Where you get your sources from? Hope that don't got you stuck. We gon' check you and your understanding of knowledge. That's regardless if you finished school or went to college. Not everything is as black and white as it seems. This show here is about expressing what you mean. Whether you get canceled or whether you get played. Welcome to the Cancel Podcast with Elliot and Jay.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Cancel Podcast, where we aim to challenge one's own thoughts by bringing unique, creative, and potentially divisive topics to the table for discussion. As always, it's your boy Darius, aka Jay Sarad, representing Legendary Media Group. And today, I have three special guests with me as we're going to talk about being biracial in America. So let me give a quick little intro. Well, actually, no, how about we give intros? I do intros yourselves, so I think this would be like a good little intro to why you're interested in this topic and why you chose to actually participate in today's episode. So whoever wants to volunteer, they can go first.
Lord. Okay, yep, she's got it. She said she got it. That's
I'll just say my name and what race I am. My name's Clarissa Go, and I'm half Chinese and half Filipino. And I just want to do this podcast to get people more aware about it stuff.
All right. Guest number two. Whoever wants. Yeah. Go ahead, Dre.
Well, my name is DeAndre Harris. I go by Dre sometimes. I am half white and half black. From the Midwest, so yeah. And I just want to, make people aware of, some of the racial tensions between the whites and the blacks, and kind of, educate on those things,
Okay. Guess number three.
Hello, I'm Jasmine. I'm African American, Chinese, and European. And so I'm not biracial. I'm just a bunch of things, but
bunch of things put together.
Bunch of things. And I'm just here because I think it'll be something interesting to talk about. And I like to hear other people's opinions on this topic as well.
Okay. Well, one thing I do like, so a little bit about my background too, African American with a splash of Choctaw Native American. I don't know the percentages yet. Haven't did my my ancestry.com or my 23andMe, not yet, but we'll see what happens. But the one thing I'm looking forward to kind of discussing with y'all, since we do have a diverse group of individuals, like we have the male and female aspect, we have the white, black, we have the Asian, the European. I think we have like a good mixer to kind of speak on some very unique kind of experiences that you all had, that maybe I've had, but also maybe not, but also something that a lot of individuals may not have seen by not having to be biracial and coming from two different sides of two different families. So I wanted to start it off and kind of say, so in regards to your background, is there one particular one you gravitate towards more than the other one? And is there like any reasoning behind that? Or, do you feel pressured to go one versus another?
Yes, 100%. I lean towards more my Filipino side, only because my grandparents in the Filipino side of my family raised me when I was in the Philippines, and my Chinese side of the family never really got to know us, only because in the Philippines there's a huge racial segregation between Chinese and Filipinos. And when I was born, when my mom and dad gave birth to us, they never really wanted to get involved in us, unfortunately. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So overall, would you say that's something that has kind of continued even like as you gotten older and became like an adult and everything? Or
So
have you? Yeah, go ahead.
sorry. Good thing you asked that actually. Right now I'm a little bit more hesitant to be, connected with my Chinese side of the family only because I kind of hold like that little grudge, that they never really took care of us when I was growing up. But now it seems like they are trying more. Only I think mostly
Mhm.
because, my father's like gone, my father's passed away, so they're trying to communicate with us more. So
Okay, I am sorry for your loss. Also on that.
sorry.
So would you say like you're more receptive of them kind of like putting forth that extra effort? Like I know it's time lost, but do you think that's something that you would openly welcome into your life like later on and as you continue to grow?
Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to get over it, but soon, soon it'll happen. Yeah.
There's still gonna be like a little bit, like a little
Just
grudge there.
kind kind
Okay, Jasmine, Dre, what about either of you?
I guess I'll go. I definitely gravitate more towards the black side. Not only because I am, a little bit darker skinned, the majority of the biracial, especially within my family, which I mean, and a lot of the people within my family on my mom's side, which is my Caucasian side, are biracial. So it kind of phased out. I mean, there's still definitely some Caucasian, but there's a lot more like Hispanic and Black kind of phasing out of the generation as we go down, especially in my generation. So,
And would you say, because I know you mentioned like you're from the Midwest,
mhm.
so knowing that general geographical region tends to be like a little bit more conservative, and me knowing you're a little bit more liberal, has that also caused any kind of like turmoil within like your family, within your household, kind of having those different kind of views, especially on like things like Black Lives Matter, various kind of protests and how they could be seen, and I'm just
Mhm.
assuming could be seen from different lights.
So, well, I would say that my dad's side was more moderate Democrat, and my mom's side was definitely moderate Democrat. The only side that was, I would say, moderate Republican is my mom's dad's side of the family. They're
Okay.
definitely less receptive of the Black Lives Matter, a lot more educating. They've came a long way, but I would say that, if like Democratic Party goes on my mom's side all the way back, they're all Democrats from civil rights movement. So like it's kind of just more of like my grandpa's side, but he'll come around.
Have Have you ever felt like pressure from either side in terms of like trying to either for them to understand your views or for you to try to help them understand you? Has there ever been like an additional push where you kind of felt like it was more of like a conflict that you have to overcome, or has both sides kind of been more like receptive and understanding?
I think that my grandpa's side of the family is definitely still kind of, I mean, there's mixed, but my grandpa is moderate Republican. So, I mean, he understands and he's kind of grasped some issues. He just kind of goes into the other sideism aspect of it and like, why would you do this? Why are they rioting? Why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? And I'm just like, well, grandpa, they're not listening to us. So I don't know what you want us to do. Like, so, I mean, there's definitely been some like, especially over the Black Lives Matter and other political figures that were around that time that I definitely think that there has been some heated, not really heated, but just some thoughtful conversations, kind of seeking understanding on both sides and kind of like more of agreeing to disagree and taking different
Okay.
aspects of it and understanding it more.
Okay, and so there is like a level of understanding
Mhm.
where both sides can kind of like meet in the middle and really
Yeah.
have like a healthy conversation about the differences.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And Jasmine, what about you?
Well, growing up, I mostly lived with my mom and my stepdad. And so mostly my Black side I grew up around. And I grew up around my Chinese side also, but mostly around my Black side is what I gravitated towards, I guess, like as a child, but also like I don't know if most mixed kids go through this, but kind of like an identity crisis. Like when you're like, I don't know who I am or which side I'm on or whatever. And then at a really young age, I just got to a point where I was just like, I'm just me, whatever. And you don't really, because there's like a lot of stereotypes too. It's like, what side do you gravitate towards? It's kind of hard to that just means like, okay, which side of your family were you around the most, right?
Yeah.
So I mostly grew up with my Black family, but.
Okay. So like, would you say, because that's a very good point too. So it's like more so of where the time was spent initially, that's where you're going to kind of pick up the cultures and really start like internalizing much more than the other side of the family.
Yeah.
That's what you're kind of saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And so so one thing I want to ask too for all of you. So in addition to in the household, like what is it like being a biracial person on a general social level? Like what are some of the experience that that you all may have had that you feel like may not be I'm not going to say that will be more rare for individuals who may not identify as biracial.
I would say like growing up school wise, like it was really hard to identify which people I go with. And when I try to like, talk to like Chinese, friends, they're all talking Chinese and I'm just like, and then when I go to like my Filipino friends, they're like, they know more about it too. And I'm just, I'm just stuck in the middle. And I thought growing up, like in my high school, middle school here in America, I thought it was just me until like I started talking to like more, mixed people that went through the same things as I did. So that felt really good.
Do you feel like it was harder to kind of find like other, like especially like with your particular background, do you still feel like it is difficult to come across other individuals like you as well?
Now that I've grown up, social media is more out there. You can definitely join groups that have like similarities as you, whether you're Asian, you're Black, you're, I don't know, you're girl, you're boy, whatever hobbies you have. I think it's more, it's easier now, definitely than before. So.
Right. Like growing up and everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I also feel like back then, like, I feel like things have changed now compared to when we were growing up, because it was like, there were some mixed kids, at least at my schools, like there were some mixed kids, but like not really. There weren't that many mixed kids. It was like, you're either this or you're that. Yeah. And I grew up in Vegas, so it was like, you're either Mexican or you're Black or you're white. And then there's like, depending on what school you went to, there's like a small group of Asians and they just, stayed together. But there's like 4 sides. And if you don't fit in any of those sides, and you're just kind of all over the place.
Yeah. So overall, would you say like it is a hard process? It sounds like, of course, I was saying this too. It's like to kind of like you can only fit into like a certain extent. Is that kind of like the feeling? Like, am I interpreting that right? Where it's like you can do so much to fit in, but at some point it's like, okay, I'm not as deep with this cultural identity as others may be.
Yes.
Okay.
Because they'll even say like, I'm sure everyone's discovered this or dealt with this growing up, but like, oh, you don't talk like this type of person. You talk, you sound white or whatever, right? Or you sound this or you sound that. And it's just like a
or like English accent. Where are you from? Here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Jerry, do you want to add on to that too?
Yeah, I was gonna say, as like being a biracial, half Black, half white male, I was definitely pushed more towards the Black side, just by all my interactions. And it was always so funny because my mom would show up to parent teacher conferences and I'd be like, "Where's your mom at?" Like, she's right near.
Oh,
my
wow.
mom. Yeah, because I was very. I mean, I lightened up as I aged. I was very dark. My mom would go into grocery stores all the time and they would ask if I was adopted. My mom had me at 19 years old. So I don't think I could be adopted by 19. It just really like being from the Midwest, I think that there was a lot of mixed kids, but we are I don't think we associate, especially for the ones that you can tell that they have a little color in them, they're gonna be on the black side. Now the black kids, they accept you, but you know, I think that there is some, wouldn't say like pushback, but like you've got to have like an internal champion, you know? Like, cool. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I think that even like, you know, just as growing up, I just think that I was always pushed more to the black side.
Okay. See, that's a very unique experience because I didn't even think about that before. So like growing up as a kid, so I know like with all of us, like we're very like melanated. Like we all have like the different skin complexions, things of that nature. But it's like I never thought about that aspect of being near your parents and other individuals not being able to identify them as your parent. Like that's something I didn't even think about. I've never had that kind of experience. Like how did that make you feel like as like a kid? Like I don't know, Jasmine, Clarissa, if you had that similar experience as well, but I that's interesting. I did not think about that.
In my like, I mean, that was my mom. I knew that was my mom. There was some days where I remember I asked my grandma if I could be Caucasian because I didn't think that I was like, I think I'm Caucasian. She's like, yeah, you can be whatever you want to. And I'm like, I'm not sure about that, Grandma. I'm black. That's what they're going to say. So I think that, you know, there was some like internal like arguments with myself. I mean, I definitely was more like when I would go around my black side, I felt more society accepted, like walking around with them, hanging out with them. But again, I had a lot of biracial cousins on my mom's side, which is my white side. So I don't think it was that much of an issue. I mean, we kind of all, I mean, they always got our moms like, "Why? How's that your mom?" That's my mom. So yeah.
Okay. And Jasmine, Clarissa, did you have any kind of similar experience like that as well as like a kid?
Well, for me, actually, I look kind of similar to both of my parents, so not really, but my sister, if you've seen her, she's like just Chinese. Like growing up, she's just like everyone's just like, "Are you sure she's not adopted?" She looks like she doesn't look like you guys. And then when my mom pops up because she's Filipino and she's with my mom every time, they're like, "Are you guys related or anything? Like, where's your mom at?" Because she looks like Chinese. It's just Chinese. That's what it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my. So with that too, so like because then you said like when you were a kid you did live in the Philippines also, right? Okay. So like when your sister was living in the Philippines too, it's like how would everyone else kind of like interact with her knowing that she had like a more racial, more traditional Chinese look? Like were there any differences between like how they would treat her versus how you would be treated?
Yeah, actually, so that's the thing that my sister, I feel bad for her because she grew up in the Philippines just like me. Well, we both grew up here, but you know, I moved in when I was 7 years old. But she would always tell me like, you know, looks wise in the Philippines, they didn't really like it, her look, because she doesn't look more Filipino because she looks more Chinese. That she grew up insecure, and I feel so bad. But the thing is also like my Chinese side of the family gravitated towards her more because she looks like them.
Wow. So there's definitely some imbalances right there.
Yep.
Kind of say like because of the racial disparities, not disparities, the racial differences, that's where it's like the families themselves kind of integrated to kind of say we're leaning more towards this child versus the other one.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh wow. So even as she's continued to grow up too, would you say like interacting with her, she showcases more cultural Chinese background?
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Because she's actually the only one that went to like a different city for like 3 years to learn how to speak Chinese out of all of us. Yeah.
And you all like applied and everything too? Or
well, that's the thing. Like, I don't know why, but for some reason it was just her that they took in and, you know, tried to teach Chinese. So she did definitely gravitate more towards the Chinese culture aspect as opposed to two of my other siblings and me.
Okay. Wow. Okay, so I do have a follow-up question on that. I'll Jasmine, you can go next, and I will tie that back in. because especially like in terms of like the Asian cultural side, this will be a good question for you and Jasmine. But yeah, Jasmine, you go ahead first.
I forgot
If
what
you have
the
any.
question was.
So as Dre mentioned too, in terms of growing up and kind of like other
Yeah, with
individuals.
the parents, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I look like both of them. I mean, I look more like my dad, unfortunately, but I kind of look like both of them. So, I mean, they're both like, we're all around the same skin color, so there wasn't any obvious differences. The only thing I experience is like when I'm with my grandma who's Chinese, people kind of like, oh, it's kind of weird. And then she'll be like, we were at because my grandma has chickens, we're at a chicken show. And this is in Texas, by the way. And we're like one of the only like minorities in there. It's a chicken show. And people are like, oh, who's this? And she's like, oh, this is my granddaughter. And they're like, what? Just like taken back. Like, oh my gosh, like they're still nice about it. But probably if I looked, obviously Chinese, they probably would already like guess that in their minds without her having to like introduce me.
So have you actually traveled like to China as well? Or like any of like the Asian kind of like area? And like have you felt like people would recognize that within like your bloodline as someone who's part like Asian?
I haven't been to China. I mean, I have family in Taiwan. I still haven't been there. The only Asian country I went to, as you know, is when I lived in Korea. And they just think everyone's a foreigner. So
I have heard about that too. So it's like
anyone what I look like. I'm a foreigner. I'm not them. So
just got off the clock, just got on my chill. Called up my homie Brent to see what be the deal. What you trying to do? I'm just trying to heal. Hella floated, never bloated's what I'm trying to feel. Hop in the whip and